Hi guys. Sorry I'm late. Guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So here for the agenda, I'll go to what I want to do was make a slight change to. Do you guys see this?
Not seeing anything right now.
Oh, really?
It says no one is
Nothing yet.
sharing.
Here it goes.
There we go.
Okay. So this should be use guides. Okay, so this is just a quick review of what we do and then how we need to change it based on what the OCP staff is off doing. So established process is for us to write a profile and then the usage guide. Then we take the usage guide and we take it to um, other projects or other work streams if they have the subject matter expertise. And then that goes up to the SC for approval. And it kind of drags along the profile itself, which is in JSON. And this was established because all the people reviewing it, the subject matter experts and the SC don't want to understand what a profile looks like. I don't want to look at JSON. So this was established so they have a kind of a readable version of what a profile actually means. And we're going through a couple of, at least one usage guide today for um, um, what are you doing today? Well, for Mike Manuri's usage guide. Um, and so the usage guide, if you look at it, it actually makes a reference to the profile as the normative version of the usage guide. Okay. So since then, we've changed the process a bit because there's additional documentation that we're auto-generating. So the usage guide still exists. It's written in Markdown, generate PDF, goes to gets contributed to OCP. In addition, there's this profile documentation, which is also auto-generated, but does not need to go to SC. They don't want to see any JSON. So this additional profile gets profile documentation gets placed in the repository for any developer that wants to implement against that profile, and it will sit side by side with the actual profile itself.
I think one thing we need to review is how much text sharing is there going to be between that usage guide and the supplemental text.
Right. So I would like as little as possible.
Okay.
The usage guide, at least for the Ethernet NIC, points to the JSON profile, and it also points to the profile documentation. So it just has a reference. So it should be able to point it from the usage guide. You should be able to at least traverse to both the profile and any supplemental documentation. So there shouldn't. I believe
Yeah,
there should be a minimum.
because I know Jeff Otter was pushing for that supplemental text to also be the usage guide. And that's where we're kind of starting until I spoke with you last week.
Right, right. I broke that paradigm. I know I did that with Ethan and Nick because by combining this, that meant the entire document needs to go to the SC for approval. And they'll look at this and they say, we have no idea what this profile documentation is.
Which is
Um,
amazing to me because I'm thinking they don't know PCB layouts or Verilog or any of the other contributions, but okay.
No, you're absolutely right. And that is a quote, main complaint of the SC is that they're being asked to approve things that they may or may not have um, knowledge of.
Understanding of, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I look at the PCP and go, I don't know what I should do here, guys. So are we just accepting that things have gone through the process and we leave it up to the, subject matter experts to say, we've gone through it all. We just need you guys to go through the process of
Just like
making a
any other
contribution.
organization, though, honestly.
Exactly. Well, exactly. So that's why I don't want to drag all this stuff up there too.
Don't drag it. Don't be subject to the growing pains.
Exactly. Okay, and so this also allowed, since the user's guide is using the document publication tool, which is something we had offered to OCP that they're using. I don't want to have them to teach them how to use yet another tool set, which is the reference tooling for generating this documentation. That's something we can use. We can generate some Workstreams may want to generate a profile, right? And just want to generate user's guide, and they don't want to implement all the supplemental text. They don't need to. So the user's guide will go out with the profile, and that's all they get. And they get the implementers get no help. That should be perfectly okay.
But it'll still reference the rest
If
of the
if the
material.
if there is no
Oh,
supplemental material, there is no reference. If there is supplemental material, there should be a reference. That makes sense?
sort of.
Okay. So, so in the contribution of the usage guide, um, this is what I have for the Ethernet, and we'll do that for your profile also. Oh, for the reference service profile, OCP service profile. Sorry. The more the merrier. OCP likes, since it's an open source kind of thing. They like to see multiple contributions, so I place HPE as primary. It's Jeff did most of the work. And then I'll be an associate. And if there's anyone else here who wants to name or company attached to this, let me know. We have a couple of weeks. I'll do the submittal today. And I think if we can't hit this month, which is next Thursday, then we hit the following month. I've thrashed around a bit about whether to make this a white paper or a specification. And I think it should be a requirement specification because it references something normative and it allows you to build designs on top of this and also contribute it to OCP. So the way OCP is set up is you have base specifications which define uh, base systems, but it's not, it was created for motherboards. So a base system is this is just kind of motherboard. We don't define all the components that you have to have, you have various vendors for it. And someone takes that base spec and defines a design spec, which means, oh, they've made all the decisions about what chips to use, so on and so forth. And they contribute the entire design spec to OCP, which means now various vendors can just pick up the design spec and implement to it. And then once you have a design spec, people can now contribute design files, which is all the Gerber plots and whatever is necessary, and they have firmware open source to go build the system. So we're trying to map that to profiles. So we have systems like RMCs, which are built based on a reference to the open RMC spec, saying, hey, we're contributing a rack. We won't tell you what's inside the rack, but but because it conforms to the Redfish, the open RMC spec, we like that document approved by the SC.
So were those design specs because they're dependent on base specs?
Yes.
Okay, cool. This oddly makes sense to me.
I know. You see, and we make it a white paper, then you can't have this reference.
Right.
And that's why they have this parent specification listed here. Because if this was a design spec, then your parent spec would be the base spec.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Now,
then
could we
associate,
do our system spec and then have a bunch of,
well, yeah, when we get the system spec, we'll figure out what we do.
okay,
Um, one, the OCP is not willing to change their process to support profiles, so kind of fit profiles into the way they do things. And the associated projects right now, associated project has allows only one element. So I would like this to be associated with both the hardware management project and the NIC project or slash server. I'm working with them to make that a multi-field, so we can put more than one. Okay. So that's what's gonna go in this week. Um, um, Mike, you can follow. And then the last thing is this change about teeth. So one issue with profiles is profiles in themselves have no teeth until they are referenced by a design or a product. In the current process, there used to be a product checklist. So when you submit a design spec, right? All it says is it needs a base spec. All it says is it needs a BMC. When you submit the design spec, it says it's an AST 2700. And then products can be built based on that design spec. With profiles, it's a little different. With profiles, it's a profile gets generated, but where's the teeth of having to implement that? So what was decided long ago was fine. It's not part of the design because design actually doesn't tell you what software runs inside the BMC. We'll make it part of the product checklist. So when someone submits a product, and it has a BMC on it, um, they have to conform to the baseline profile or the server profile. And because when you build a product, you can decide, right, whether you want to support IPMI or Redfish. And this was their way of pushing people toward Redfish, that you could not have a product in the marketplace if it did not support Redfish. And so this worked great. Until one day I discovered that the checklist had been removed and I could not follow the link anymore. I'm fighting with them on this, but it showed me how vulnerable this entire process is to the whims of the OCP staff, because they seem that's what they seem to do.
with no paper trail on why it got removed. John, you there?
It's the same way they do updates to the process documents. They generate it, and then all of a sudden the SC is informed that the process has changed. So
Wow. So
yeah,
instead of the committee running the staff runs the committee.
yeah. So in order to do this, I want to change things a bit. So the use guide still gets approved by the SC. I want this referenced by design specifications as we've been pushing out to do. And then I want to add a reference table within the repository to say these specifications are being referenced by these particular specifications. And that way I can keep this the teeth in place regardless of what the SC does. Um, Currently, I'm working with the SC to kind of reestablish this, because this was a requirement for a product to come in, and without it, it kind of degenerates away. This is what forced Celestica to actually put a Redfish software agent on their switch, because they came to me and said, "John, we don't have a BMC." I said, "Great, you can drop a software agent on top of the NOS, and you'll still be compliant, because the only thing the product checklist says is have to support the interface. We don't care how you support the interface, whether it's in BMC, whether it's on the OS itself." So that's what we have right now. And so I'm going to go ahead and start adding a reference table directly to the repository. So to get this totally clean from what the whims of the OCP staff.
Now, is there any such requirement for storage?
Is there any what requirement?
Well, storage boxes have similar to a NOS, right? They got a storage OS. Do they have a redfish requirement?
Oh,
Or a
yes,
swordfish
yeah,
requirement?
yes. So
Okay, they do.
when we did the product baseline, the checklist, we went through all the product platforms and we said, guys, you can either select the baseline or you can select a profile specific to your platform. And because the only profiles that existed were the baseline and the server, right, which I generated, it was like that was it. Everyone selected the baseline, and except server selected the server profile. So networking platforms selected baseline, which is why they came to me and said, John, how do I do this baseline on top of my switch, which has no BMC? So storage is the same thing. Storage is supposed to follow the baseline.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I figured this would be good history for you, Jeff. It's been a complicated game of making sure this gets we get teeth behind these profiles.
Clearly.
Okay. So with that, we can go to polls and issues. Mike, do you want to go ahead and share and you can do your pull request first?
Sure. Let me just bring that up. Since I have 20 other things in the background. You have to relinquish control.
Done.
Thank you. So, much overdue redfish usage guide for the baseline profile. And so, John, I took your feedback that we should be calling this the OCP service baseline. Do you want me to rename the files after we're done with this to align with that? Because that's going to have downstream effects with other profiles already referencing this.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I'll go do
Yeah,
that.
I don't want confusion between OCP baseline and OCP and baseline.
Yeah. So you agree service baseline is the right name for this? Just to
Yes.
be super pedant. Okay. So I'll just go through the rendered view of the baseline of the OCP service baseline API version 1.00 spec. So it broke down the use cases as you wanted. So basically getting each management task as a single operation effectively. So you have user account management, certificate management, notification, event notifications, manager, IP configuration, license management, event logging, software management, protocol configuration, service condition, registered client, session management, and task management. And it just goes through each of the use cases, each management task. So get a user account, get on manager account resource. So repeating this flow ad nauseum, using existing mockups so I don't have to handcraft these. Removing user, generating a CSR, placing a cert, getting a cert, getting an event subscription, creating an event subscription, removing an event subscription, sending an event to a subscriber, get manager IP configuration, setting manager IP set to a static address, setting manager to DHCP, get a software license, install software license, uninstall software license, get an event log, clear an event log, software inventory, firmware update, and I did add a call out to the retrospec as you requested, John.
Okay.
Get manager network protocols, set manager network protocols, get service conditions, get a registered client, create a registered client, remove a registered client, get a session, create a session, delete a session, change session timeout, get a task, and references.
So the only question I had was
Mhm.
the software licenses. Is
Mhm.
that recommended or is that mandatory?
Recommended.
Oh, okay. Okay, I feel better about it then.
Yes. I was on the fence about even including the profile. I know, well, I know Jeff wanted it originally, and I kind of wanted to shy away from the recommended things in the profile, but I like his intent that we're trying to broadcast the world things that are coming. So even though this is recommended today, maybe 5 years from now this will be mandatory. But at least getting folks aware of this as they're doing scoping for projects and looking at requirements. All
And
right.
what is service condition? Maybe I was asleep when you guys did that.
This was that you have that roll up of service conditions at the service route to show all the active conditions across all resources. So that way a user has a one-stop shop to say, hey, I want to see what I care about right now. They go to service conditions to see all the little red and yellow lights that may be illuminated across the service, so they don't have to do a deep crawl of the model.
So when someone's looking at the user's guide, how does I like him to at least see that one line of information as to what service condition actually does. Right. And so that's why I suggested we put a section underneath the table, but before you start your use cases, which just describes the quote model that you're
Oh.
right. Because you had all those collection, you had a bunch of text describing various parts of the model
Hmm.
strewn throughout the use cases. And I
Hmm.
said you should collect all these up and
Oh.
before you do use cases, just say reference model overview or something like that.
Oh, and so I can actually delete this text altogether? Is it
Yes. Well, yeah,
okay?
that's where the text would go.
Okay. So yeah, that way you don't have to have the same linkage of saying see this in this spec, see this in this spec. Okay.
Right. Right.
It's all consolidated to one place. Okay.
Right. Because then that one liner which says this is what service status really means. And oh,
Hmm.
okay, now I know why it even
Okay.
exists.
Sure. Okay, I can add that.
Yeah, I did that in the uh Ethernet net profile. If you notice, that's why I stuck
Okay.
all the diagrams.
Yeah, the challenge with this one is it's kind of widespread. There's a lot of different things it touches.
I know, so that's why I just leave it in text.
Okay.
That's fine. Since Jeff had always generated the diagrams, I mean, the
Sure.
diagrams make things life easier.
Okay.
So I'm not asking you to generate diagrams for this.
Oh, but I like that. Maybe later. Okay,
Go for it. It's your AR.
okay, I'll go update that. I'll add that in there, and that should be that. I'll
Okay.
also start going through the other profiles that reference this already, update it to point to the new name, and once this looks good, I will then start applying the same format to the other usage guides. Now, I have this listed as a spec right now. Should we change it to usage guide?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll do that too. Excellent. Anything else before I give it back to John?
Because in the early days, I used to call this usage guide and requirements.
Um,
And I
no,
think
that's good.
I think in order to make this contributed as a requirement spec, we may have
Mhm.
to add that line back in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
because if you look at the GPU
mhm.
management specs,
Mhm.
they all have requirements.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that's
that
that's
makes
how
sense
the
because we do call out which use cases are required, so it is a requirements document.
right, 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 right. Yeah, I named it usage just to have people understand that the second half of this is all about usage, and you can understand how you need to interact with the model to get what you want, basically.
Okay.
Right? But the front table is basically a requirements table.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Okay, so let me share. I guess I should really have. Sorry, I have to go clear all my mail. Got too much mail. Okay. This one. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and merge that.
Merge what? Do you want me to make the other updates in that branch first before I merge it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll make that. Uh, make that text-based effectively a laundry list of go see these other resources that are pertinent before it starts going to the use cases.
Okay. All right. So what I want to talk about is this pull request, which fixes this issue. We added a power subsystem and thermal subsystem to baseline. Got baseline 1.1, and then we had server 1.1 reference baseline 1.1, and we merged it, and we got our first set of issues, which was the server made additional requirements on top of power and thermal. So since power and thermal if it is implemented or is not implemented, um, whether you want to be deprecated or not, you actually cause problems within um, the running the server profile. So his complaint was, hey, I run the baseline, we run fine. I run the server profile, I get these errors because the server profile is referencing things that I no longer implement, which is power and thermal. So the fix to this is actually quite easy. Easy is have a bunch of if implemented since the controlling decision is made in the baseline to whether you do thermal or thermal subsystem, then we just had to add thermal subsystem in addition to um, power subsystem. So power. So let's go down bottom. Yeah. So this is the power became if implemented, thermal became if implemented, and then I added power subsystem and thermal subsystem into the list, and all if implemented. So based on your controlling decision for implementing against the baseline, you end up here with 4 possible things if implemented. Does that make sense? And then I looked at the very top which is this conditional. So we have a conditional, which is a um, read requirement of recommended that uh, if there's a chassis type, rack, sled, or drawer, then this is required by the server profile that you can only have rack, sled, or drawer and be part of the server profile. So what I've added is power subsystem and thermal subsystem. They didn't do that very well. So that should allow this section to pass. And then in so doing, I realized that tray is not a chassis type enum. So I just removed it. I think there was a previous issue filed against this. It didn't hurt anything, so I left it. But now since I'm doing edit,
For the power subsystem versus well, I guess the old versus new, shouldn't we use the newer syntax for showing deprecated usage?
it is done. It's done in the baseline. So since this references the baseline, in the baseline it says um, uh, power subsystem replaces power. Power is deprecated. So all that terminology, if you wish, is in the baseline 1.1 profile.
So why do we have additional power and thermal requirements here that seem to be I guess what's new in this profile that's needed to build on that baseline that isn't already there?
Oh, the baseline, let's say, doesn't have power control.
Okay.
It doesn't have what?
Power control, power limit.
Power control. Okay.
Right? So we say that if you're baseline, if you're like a NIC or a switch, whatever, you don't have it. But servers have additional capabilities, right? And
Does
one
it
is
does it have the power? Because Jeff took care of all this. So I'm wondering, does the old baseline have all of the metrics that are now required to replace the things that are missing in power subsystem that used to be in the old power?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When we did that, I went through and said, okay, this is what was required in power, right? What is the corresponding um, property within power subsystem?
Yeah, but power subsystem was missing things like current power usage. You had to have a metric for that.
Oh yes,
Of-
but the original baseline wasn't that rigorous.
Ah,
It only had two parameters it had to have, and one was power utilization, and the other was power limit.
huh.
And so that was easy to map.
Well, yeah.
There was a whole bunch of stuff quote missing that didn't have to be mapped.
Okay.
And then server goes on top of that and says, well, I need server, I need the power control, and I need console, serial console. Oh, and I need the exhaust temperatures, right? These are the temperatures I need, and these are so I took I don't know if you remember uh CCMI,
Mhm.
which was the spec that was done on top of IPMI.
Yeah, I
You
remember
see,
it.
right? So that specified specific temperatures, and I said, fine, we'll just take DCMI and we'll map it and make it what server does. And so no one had a complaint because it was a pre-existing set of requirements, and I just mapped it to Redfish. So for the temperature, it specifically said I needed exhaust temperature. So that's what we added here.
The power subsystem environment metrics you have above, I think is not right.
Is it showing? We're talking down here.
There, oh, yeah, scroll up right there. That is supposed to be just environment metrics. You don't, if you need to say it's subordinate to a certain resource, then you need to specify a URI pattern to show where you care about applying that environment metrics requirement. But also, is this even environment metrics and not just power subsystem metrics?
No, on thermal it's metrics. Wait, is there?
Let me double check first.
Yeah, yeah. That will make life easy.
Yeah. No, there's actually no metrics beneath power subsystem. So this would have to be environment metrics beneath a chassis. Wait, but that doesn't have, does that power limit? We have power limit watts. I don't see the other properties or
I mean,
power watts, power. Yeah, I don't know where you grabbed any of that from. So go back up, go down to line 235 again. Oh, power capacity watts is in power subsystem. There's power limit watts and environment metrics. So we got to break this apart into power subsystem and environment metrics requirements.
okay. Did I not push? Okay, okay. Let me take another look at this because I'm not sure this is why I pushed up. But no, but I understand about this not being correct. All right, but that's what we need. That's I think the only open pull request that we need to resolve. All right, let me go take another look at that. So that's that. Oh, someone submitted a pull request.
Let me double check what he did. He might be right. Yeah, it's parameter values.
Okay, so we should, this is good.
Mhm.
Okay, go close. Wait for Jeff for that. Okay, I think that's all we had. That's ready for review. That's Mick, got the close with Mick. Oh, yeah, and the reason I create that process was so Mick could have a process now, because I think he has a users guide, but it's never been contributed. Baseline. Okay, that's it. That's all we have for pull requests. Think issues and that's the new issue I'm trying to resolve now. Wrong property name. OCP. Oh, so is this fixed? Mike?
Let me look. Yeah, that's the. I think the main issue is Jeff didn't do the DCO sign off.
Okay. Well, this is an issue. So the issue should just be closed. It's been fixed.
No, this pull request fixes the issue.
No, this is a issue. This is issue. This is not a pull request.
Right, but we didn't merge the pull request. So it's still an issue since we haven't accepted the fix for it yet.
Oh, we just need a tag to say fixed in.
But we can't merge
Oh, yeah.
this.
So, okay.
We
Got it. Got it. Got
yeah,
it. I got it. I got it. It should be closed when we.
But Jeff didn't do the DCO sign off. Do we want to override that?
Oh, yeah, we do. So what's this fix? I gotta do this. I'll do this outside.
So we can't really override the DCO sign off. We
We're not.
either merge it or we tell Jeff, please do the DCO sign off.
Oh, I'm gonna assume that this is a one-liner.
It is a one-liner.
Okay.
Or correction.
And we're done. Oh, that was it. Okay, that's it. Yeah, I think I heard that. Okay. In that case, I think we are done, guys. Any other open issues?
Nope.
Okay, so once we get service and we have baseline 1.1 and we have server 1.1, are there any other? Oh, and we have Nick. Do we have any other profiles that need to go through the contribution process?
The PowerShell, Rack PDU, all the liquid cooling stuff, though, those should be ready once we start squaring up the right documentation around the guides. The profiles themselves are in good shape.
Okay, all right. Then after this, I will chase Mick for his clone profiles, and you'll know what to do with your PowerShell one.
Yep.
All right. In that case, yeah, we'll find out where we are in about a month. Okay, guys. In that case, I am done.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys.